So good morning, good afternoon actually to everyone, and welcome to our guests and to our panel. I'm very glad to moderate this panel on a topic that's really essential when we are talking about strategies, when we are talking about innovation, the business creation. And we will be talking about incubation and acceleration in a broader sense. So we will talk about the experience each panelist will have and will give you, and we will talk about something we already discussed during all the days in order to put everything together. Actually, I asked the panelists to give a presentation about their experience in order to raise questions from you. So we expect at the end of our presentation a lot of questions in order to address any topic we are not dealing with in our presentation. So I will not waste any time and I will pass the word to Theologos Prokopiou, Managing Director of the Business Incubator I4G. So please.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's really great to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for the hospitality. Well, the topic is incubators, accelerators, so I guess I'm at the right place. I will be presenting to you our incubator, I4G, that means Incubator for Growth. And this presentation has the objective to be more practical. It's a bottom-up approach to the presentation. Paris this morning explained to you the bigger picture in our ecosystem in Thessaloniki. So now we go into more detail, but again, not very exhaustive, what we do in I4G. This presentation is intended to create more questions. It's food for thought, raise some issues, and maybe we have a fruitful discussion. So I'm Theologos. I'm the CEO of the incubator. Now, an overview, a brief overview of the incubator. Now we are running for 14 years. We started in 2002. We have an ecosystem of more than 125 people, 20 startups right now, more than 40 startups in total, incubated in all these years of operation. We were funded with a very nice public initiative that was genius to my point of view. The state in 2001 announced a scheme to fund incubators and had under the same roof all three pillars of the activity: the building, the services, and also the fund. So from the beginning of our operation, we have this mentality on the investor, and really makes a lot of difference if you are a private organization and you want to support startups, to have a motivation to support them. So when you invest, your motivation really becomes dramatically increases. You are really involved with them. You actually help to grow your own assets. Now we have a building of 2,000 square meters in Thessaloniki, North Greece. These are some of the startups in my incubator. In morning's presentation, Paris discussed about some of them. Now, what is the main objective of an SME support organization? You have to support your startups, huh? And what do you see in the ecosystem, in the European ecosystem? So I have a slide here that on the top part, I try to discuss what do you see, what Europe is doing, okay? And we see some initiatives like FIWare. Are you guys familiar with FIWare? So these are programs from European Union, FIWare and Startup Europe, with not too much bureaucracy, that have the objective to support startups. At the same time, the Horizon 2020 program is there also with the same objective, but with a different structure, more strict, more demanding. This SME Instrument 1 document to be prepared is really a very demanding task. And how is this picture completed? On the bottom side, beyond the European initiatives, there are also the national initiatives. Each one of the countries has its own programs. And then the picture is completed with the venture capital funds and the business angels. And again, you think yourself that you are the best, but I guess some people do a better job than you. I mean, I have at the bottom side of the slide the two best European ecosystems as far as startups, London and Berlin. So what do you do when you have a startup that really has the potential? Do you keep it close to you, or you push it in a better environment with the more possibility to be successful? Now, this is the big picture. It's fragmented. It has a lot of competing initiatives that demand different mentality to approach them. And you have to face a question: what is the best? What is the best and the correct pathway for you? Okay? And if you decide, if you have the resources to be able to effectively follow this pathway. For us, it's the approach of the investor that it's more challenging and interesting, but at the same time we try to be present in all the aspects of the picture. Okay? On one side, it's the European ecosystem, but at the same time we try to look outside of Europe. Okay? We want to remain extrovert, so US is a part of our strategy. We cooperate with Austin-based International Accelerator. Austin is a rising capital of web startups in US with very competing cost to go there. And there is an accelerator that is built exclusively for companies that come from abroad. And the actual first two companies of the International Accelerator come from my city, from Thessaloniki. There is also a very nice event in Austin, the South by Southwest. And right now the Commission has an initiative to support European startups to go and participate in that exhibition. Now this is one part of our strategy. We also do a lot of work in the Gulf, and this is due to our mother company, a consulting company, very extrovert, and also our cooperation with IASP. We are involved with two nice projects, both in Qatar and in Oman, and we service the incubation part of the project, mainly to ourselves, so you can have access, to give access to the startups, to our startups, to different markets. We want to stay connected and stay in the race, so European initiatives are really important. This is a project that we participate. The project is called Startify 7. What was the objective? To build a network of summer academies that will target the training of ICT entrepreneurs. So we had 7 academies in 7 cities the last 2 years, 3 in 2015 and 4 this year. And there was a twist in this project that all of the academies had a technology focus, not the same, because one shoe does not fit all. We were accepting students at an early stage, not based on the merit of their business idea, but based on their aspirations to become entrepreneurs. And the objective was twofold. We wanted to give them the ability to start if they wanted, but at the same time we wanted to support them so they mature both personally and professionally. Why a project like this was important for us, Startify 7? Just an example of why this is important. Now this is one of my latest startups, which is called Ternant. These guys participated in the pre-incubation programs that we had, but participating in Startify gave them the confidence and the knowledge and so they can now start. They are going after a Kickstarter project, building a case that will allow you, a phone case that will allow you to play Game Boy in your phone. This is a part of an example why Startify is important for us, and also an initiative we ran with some other stakeholders in Thessaloniki, which we call it the iGrow Labs. We also, as a country, have a problem where academia and market don't really go together. So we are building a place under the auspices of the Technical Chamber of Commerce. We will accept students there that they want to do their final dissertation when they study, and the subjects for the thesis will be chosen by companies. Companies will suggest subjects, and in cooperation, the dissertations will be elaborated. So it will provide space for these people to do their work, and at the same time, we will train them using the methodology of Startify 7. Now, these are some examples of our recent work. I don't want to keep you more. I want to conclude my presentation with this slide. I don't know how many of you guys know who this guy is. Yeah, the Croatian people know. Yeah? Rimac, yeah. Mate. I'll tell you why I'm using this example, and I use it also when I talk to my startups, try to keep them focused. The first is an issue of standards. So this guy, a guy coming, well, I apologize to the host. We are in Italy, the land of design and fast cars, huh? Okay. But this guy is great, huh? He's maybe less than 30. He developed technology, great technology. Maybe he built the fastest electric car today. And as a startup, he didn't spend too much time pitching. He actually did the work. So when I talk to my teams, I tell them, don't pitch too much. Do the work. And the work should be with exceptional standards. You should not be satisfied by building a prototype which is of average quality. Okay? Now, this is one aspect of this slide. This is why I'm using it. This is also a challenge to Europe. Okay? This guy started this in 2009, and now he's, how can I say, he's challenging established industries. Okay? He is disrupting industries. He's also taking a very high technological risk. Will the electric car be the winning of the race? Okay? Now, is Europe able to support startups like this? Can we have more people like Mate Rimac coming from Croatia? Okay? With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
So I thank you very much for this great presentation. So we have seen some thoughts about the incubation. We have seen how Can we build skills, competencies, and services locally, but remaining extroverts, so being contaminated from outside experience, trying to enhance the skills that you develop and the path for your startups. And the end, we have seen that one thing that we must say to our startup is the passage, the translation from just pitch it to just do it. So it's better to do something sometime, not only pitching, obviously. So let's move to the second panelist, Mr. Juan Antonio Bertolin, that will speak about Science and Technology Park as open, cross, and co-innovation ecosystems. So we are dealing about, again, incubation, acceleration, with particular respect to Open Innovation 2.0 and the co-creation. Please.
Okay, well, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you very much for the organization for this conference. One of the questions, well, indeed, I put here just the hashtag that I am using just by myself because I didn't find one for this conference, so I have been including all the comments of today. So if you can use it, just feel free. One of the things that for me has been very difficult, and today we have been talking about the science and technology parks, is how can I define a science and technology parks or areas of innovation as well. But basically, to whom? To my daughter, to the kids. Do you know how much difficult it is to explain your kids that you are working in a science and technology park? It's completely awful because you don't know how to start with, to say, okay, so after, well, we are already running our science park inside of the University Jaume I of Castellón in Spain. And after 10 years probably, I got my question and I was able to explain that to my daughter, that probably she will be watching me today. So I expect at least that she will understand the rest of the presentation as well. Well, basically I started using this picture. It's an airport. I'm basically analyzing the basics of the science and technology parks. We are like an airport. We are a big, not infrastructure, but big element that we are able to help the people to connect, help the people to join and to share things. And basically, which are the basic elements inside of this sort of airport? People, basically entrepreneurs, projects, investors, SMEs, and also scouters, people that just like to scout technologies. So, leaving aside the complex definitions that we have been handling today, for a kid it's easy to say, hey, we are like an airport. So a lot of people is in the surroundings, are colliding, so they are sharing thoughts, feelings, worries, and our role is to help them. Obviously, the definition that Luis Sanz this morning was tried to show you in his conference about how IISP is defining Science and Technology Park is included in the picture that I told you before about the airport. I am not going to go in deep with that. But there is another concept that now is arising, that is what we call the areas of innovation. And obviously I am not going to talk about fractality, but basically it's a fractal element, a science park of this area of innovation, because an area of innovation is things that in the science and technology park we are doing, but in bigger scale. So it's much easier to understand what an area of innovation is. So remember that an airport, people collecting, but also there is another analogy, very easy, that I will show you afterwards, that we act like as a hub inside of the airport. Why? Because we are connecting science, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So we can call that ourselves, we are like an orchestrator, right? We are a director of the orchestra with all the elements there, with the main focus of developing the local economy of the territory where we are located. And also, we are like a Christmas tree. Why? Because we try to create the appropriate conditions to make it happen. Do you remember, well, during the Christmas, people are close to the tree. So it's not only the tree, it's all the things that you put in the tree. And you create some atmosphere of sharing things, confidence, trustness. So you meet people and then things happen, like magics, right? So Science Park is something like that. And I was explaining that to my daughter, so it was great to starting from that. So from that perspective, in our Science Park, at least what we're trying to work with, because it's not easy anyway, think that in an airport we are talking always about people, not boxes, not computers, not high technology, people. Because technology cannot be performed if there is no people behind that, right? So people is the most important thing inside of the innovation ecosystems, and sometimes we forget it. We just focus too much in the bits and atoms instead of the people. So inside of the Science and Technology Park, at least in our case, that we are inside of the campus of the Universitat Jaume I of Castellón, we have a strong community of people. It's the university community. So help us to connect with all the companies that are inside of the Science Park. So all the incubation and acceleration processes inside of the Science Park is much more accelerated thanks to this connection to the university. And university is the main pillar of the knowledge in that sense. So it's helping to those sort of open innovation processes that I call it before Open Innovation 2.0, because now the European Commission is moving, Marco Marcula with the OSPG group is moving to the Open Innovation 2.0, means that it's the Chessbrook Open Innovation, but let's put the society inside. So let's give him much more strength and power to that message. And it's very interesting that the Stephen Johnson quote about liquid networks is very, let's say, like what happens in this university environment where a science park is located, that people are colliding, hunches are colliding and creating new hunches. So new feelings, new thoughts, and new knowledge is created thanks to this collision. And this is something that happens inside of the university. Along this morning, we have been talking about the triple helix and also quadruple and other helixes. I prefer to think about the triple helix and not a society as another part of the triplet, but something that is below of that. I mean, society should be the main actor in everything. And on top of that, you can put AAA or whatever, but with triple is enough. But the society should be there. So why? Because we have to keep in mind one of the main indicators to generate innovation. It's not GDP. There are a lot of indicators that aims to be like a happiness index, for instance. So this is one of the ones that I like a lot. Is return on investment to the society. Everything that you have to do have to be done thinking about that you are helping someone. It's like a social. I mean, innovation is social because you are helping people. In any case, you are helping from biotech, from wherever you are helping people. So this social aspect of innovation is crucial, and these indicators should be kept in mind. Okay? So, well, this is the Open Innovation 2.0, this yearbook. I recommend you to read it because there is a lot of knowledge about how these processes can be done. And indeed, this could help also to create what we call entrepreneurial universities ecosystems, where people are colliding and creating new things, and universities are taking the third mission role. And science and technology parks are the best actors to help those universities to create this sort of new third mission role. I put some examples there. And well, whenever you are inside of the ecosystem like university, in the science park, there is a movement also that now has a strong link with the science park. That is what we call the living labs, or co-creation processes, where, well, there are several codes. That means I am involving the university community with the companies that are inside of the science park to generate new knowledge, and also what we call the democratic innovation stream flow. So everybody can say something about the innovation, right? And also another interesting thing that is fostering incubation and acceleration processes at the science parks is what we call the knowledge spillover. where do you think that is the best place to generate new ideas? It's not the classroom, it's the bar. Yeah, drinking a coffee, even drinking a beer. And what we have realized that in the bar close to our science park, a lot of things are happening, right? Because people are sitting there and sharing. So this knowledge spillover is generated not only in the bar, I was kidding, but in that sort of area, right? And what is extremely interesting is that Griliches was able to put that in a formula. How can I analyze the knowledge production function? Because, well, I am a physicist, so if I don't see a formula, I am a bit nervous, right? So at the end, searching, I found a Griliches function that can help you to make reusable, rebuildable in all the ecosystems to create a new innovation concept as well. And then, whenever you put all those actors, this Brownian movement in a science and technology park, you see very interesting, three different interesting phenomena. One is the synergy between among companies and also university community, right? Also, you see symbiosis, but the most strong one is the hybridization. Whenever you mix biotech with ICT, whenever you mix agriculture with ICT, whenever you are mixing things, is whenever you create a real value. So hybridization is much more strong, and is what we are at least watching in the surroundings on the science and technology park, collecting community, university community connected with the science park. So it's interesting. And also there is a new thing that's probably is not new, but now people are paying attention to that. And Ann Medler, from one of the executive directors from the Lisbon Council, was pointed out that is the micro multinationals. I mean, network of freelancers, people that actually are creating much more jobs than the regular companies. Because, well, you can see the numbers in the World Economic Forum, and you will see that 2015 was close to 23% of the jobs created in Europe were created by network of freelancers, by micro multinationals. And nobody's really paying attention to them. So they are moving to co-working spaces outside of the science parks. And now we are trying to reflect how we can help those let's say, networks or collection of people that are doing very interesting things, and they are generating a lot of innovation. And they are using what we call it's not something new, this Hollywood model. They work like films, Star Wars. People are coming here, producers, actors, everything just for the film. Whenever they finish, they jump into another film. So they work something like that. Whenever they have a project, they work together, they do the project, and they jump to another. So they are generating a lot of jobs and a lot of innovation, and someone has to pay attention to that. The rest of the ecosystem, obviously, is the rest. I mean, universities, accelerators, technology institutes, and someone has to connect all these metrics in order to be able to, let's say, share things, share movements, and share thoughts between all the elements. And also, another tool that is also rising in some universities is, and also science parks, is the co-financial, the crowdfunding, how the crowdfunding is helping R&D projects and also small companies to develop their prototypes. I am not talking about funding for growing too much, but at least in the process of incubation, a lot of them are using crowdfunding. And now, well, there are several kind of crowdfundings in that area, right? So, well, basically, this is what I wanted to point out, because in 10 minutes it's difficult, but at least my intention was to open the box for reflection, right? Science and technology parks, we consider that we could be an innovation potters, right? We have dust, water, we can mix things, and with all the elements, we are able to create very, very interesting things. Always with the basics that we are talking about people. So people is not something physical, it's emotional. So these emotions are something that we have to handle, and with that we will be success. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much for your presentation. I think that actually you opened many boxes, not just one box. So I hope there will be a lot of question arising from this presentation. And I think we can move on to Mr. Piquet, that will speak about the path to grow.
Yes, and this morning I was talking more about open innovation and how the big corporations were absorbing, were adapting the new deal flow of innovation coming from science and technology parks. And now my position will be to go to the origin of this new deal flow of innovation. Believe me that the big companies are worried about the future, because they know how are selling now, but they don't know where they will be in 5 years' time. And there is not a secret. If you want to be and you want to create the future, you have to analyze and to understand what's next in terms of innovation. And imagine that you were in the board of Telefonica or AT&T or a big company, and you saw WhatsApp just starting, no? And perhaps you, watching this new startup, you look at your budget and say, oh, the SMS, the short message service is a wonderful business. Why I have to cut this business? Because a new startup is just starting, chatting and whatever. And that's when we have the tension between our present and our future. And as you know, the value of a company is not the value of the company as a shareholders and in the stock market. It's about the capacity to generate new cash flow in the future. It means that we have to be ready to connect the best of the entrepreneurs with the best of our big corporations. But the best of the entrepreneurs means that, as I told you before this morning, is that the entrepreneurs are the research and development centers of the big corporations or the mature companies. This is a change in the role, and it means that also for the startups, they have to know that if they are solving a challenge, if they are connecting in the starting point with the exit plan, they will have a chance, the opportunity to sell the company, to sell the technology, and to sell themselves to the big company, to the big companies. For this reason, I would like to start, and so sorry, I follow Jerry Engel always because it was my professor in Berkeley, and he has a very interesting topic about clusters of innovation. And when we were writing a paper with Jerry about clusters of innovation, I was asking him, okay, but how would you generate Silicon Valley and so on? And looking for the elements, because Triple Helix is the institutional framework that we need to create ecosystems of innovation. But who is doing innovation is not the Triple Helix. It's companies, it's people, it's technology and finance. It's like that you have your ecosystem, but you need to be sure that the three elements are ready in terms of the mobility of the people. Mobility of the people is not just that you are in a researcher, that you are an entrepreneur, also because you were in a company and you come back to the university, or also because you were very good as a serial entrepreneur, you help your company to grow, you sell the company, and you come back to be again a serial entrepreneur. Mobility of the people is what was happening with Fairchild in Silicon Valley when people was starting Intel and other people were starting AMD, and you had different companies around. It means that mobility is not bad. And this is not about loyalty and fidelity, it's about the ecosystem needs to bridge people. And also, if you don't want mobility, you have to pay or you have to create some kind of loyalty programs for your people or stock options or whatever. But whatever we have, if we're a new company, if we are a big company, we look at opportunities. And as I told you before this morning, the opportunities could be problems of the market, but also new technologies that are knocking the door for new ways of solving the market need, but also new ways of monetizing, developing business models. Because here, from a point of view, that the big change that we'll have in the next future will be not just how can we apply technologies transforming our companies, it's how the big companies and the companies will get money. and we're going to the product to the service, and we see how Airbnb, this is the biggest hotel manager, and they are not the owners of any hotel, but they are managing all the beds of the world, and or Uber or whatever. It means that something is happening also in the consumer business model. It's about people, as Bertolini told before. It's about technology. We have to be sure that we have new deal flows of technology. In terms of the smart specialization, means that we have to know in a very clear way what agenda of technology we need for our region. When I was developing our smart strategy for the city of Barcelona, we were choosing several technologies in several sectors. And one technology like IT, you can apply in health, but also in food or another sector. But one sector like health can take advantage of IT, but also of photonics and also biotechnology. It means that you have to have a clear strategy on sectors and technologies. Technology, people, and money. Smart money. Smart money. And perhaps that's the key element that we have in our ecosystems. And the smart money is the people that is just investing in the first moment. It's not just your family, your mom, your dad. It's about the investors that they know how to put the $25,000, $50,000, but they syndicate with other investors and business angels, and they start to put the first money. It's very interesting, this concept, because in Silicon Valley with Henry Etzkovitz, we were analyzing the ecosystem of Silicon Valley, and he told me, Joseph, I discovered the university angels. And what do you mean, university angels? Are people that are just walking around the university. What are you doing? Oh, that's good. People that are reaching in a very good way the concept of how can you take advantage of technology and talent to connect with the value to the company. That's the reason why the ecosystem is not neutral, because you can have the same technology and the same people, and you put in another ecosystem. It happened in Silicon Valley, and you see how to grow. What happened? How is that if I was in Medellin, Colombia, and the company wasn't running, and now it's running there? The ecosystem is part of this party, and it's creating the best framework if you understand the path to growth. And the path to growth is looking for the way that we are adding value to the companies. One way to look at the value of a company is when we start a company and we have a PowerPoint, a concept, that's good. When we have a prototype, technological prototype feasibility, is also we are advancing. It means if the lab is running, that's good. But other is if I have a patent, we are adding more value. But if I have a working prototype, it means if I have a real customer using our real product and technology, this is more value. It means that we have several steps that if we know that, it means that we can help better the startups to focus in the different steps. After that, it's not the same that I have one customer that is very happy with the product that I deliver to him or to her or to the company, that the problem that I have to have 1,000 copies of the same product with the same quality. This is another approach. This is not a problem of prototyping. This is a problem of manufacturing. And sometimes the people is good in pilots, but is not good in manufacturing. That's perhaps the chance that we have with the small and medium companies. They know how to make an industrialization of the process. If we do that, it means that we start to add more and more and more value. At the end, if we are in some sectors, it's not the same that if I have the approvals of the health department or the food department or the telecom department of the nation that allow us to work or not in the market. This is important, as you know, how important it is for any product if you want to sell to America or you want to sell to others. That is a technological approach, but it's interesting because it means that we can add value. On the other hand, we can add value understanding the connection with the market. The lessons about the markets and coming from Steve Blank and all the people around the business model campus is about as soon as you can go to market. Learn with the market. Be sure that you are learning and you are connecting in the appropriate way, because if you have the connection with the market, you can change, but you have to be very flexible to pivot, to make the pivot, to change when the market market is telling you that they are recognizing you more value in this than in other. At the end of the day, the value market is the way that we can provide to the company the opportunity to validate what we say that scalability. I will focus later on that. And also, another way of adding value is with the people. At the end of the day, the venture capital firms, you have venture capital firms here, are investing in people. They know that at the end of the day, they have to invest in commitment of the people that they have to manage, because you are investing in people that they will start the company. Perhaps they have to make the pivot. They have to change. Management means a lot. That also means that the company has to find the appropriate human resources in every moment. And it's not the same when you are thinking in the new technology that when you are developing a portfolio product, or when you are selling, or when you have to be in touch with venture capital firms, because you need a chief financial officer to be sure that all your indicators and all your data is ready for the stock of market. That is important. Three approaches of the same value. And perhaps you are running with technology, but you are not running with the market, or you are not running sometimes with appropriate people. That's the reason why the business angels are so important in the process of growth, because they are providing not just the money, they're providing the experience, they're providing the agenda. It means they know a lot of people, and they are providing the message of trust with the rest. Because if you were working Telefonica until now, and now you are investor of a new technology-based company, I am sure that they will like to know more, because you have a reputation. It means that the business angels are providing a key element, that is reputation for a new startup. And that's perhaps the slide that I want to share and to focus more and more, because if we know where we are, we can help better in our ecosystem. And this is also very important not to understand what is our role as an ecosystem. And it's not the same the role when you are in a university, when you are in a science park, or where you are in a region. And that is interesting because remember that we were adding value, but the first phase is clear. We need a prototype with a customer with the first team. Without prototype, don't go to sell to China. And also, in one hand, be sure that the first customer is a golden reference. Be sure that you have a real golden reference that could be the reference for the rest of the customers that we will have. This is about the first phase, very important in terms of the focus of the entrepreneurs. That's perhaps one of the key roles that the university has to do, how to stimulate the entrepreneurs to develop ideas with some technology, and to develop from the idea to the prototype, focus on that, because the second phase is a different phase. It's the phase of the market traction. And market traction, at the end of the day, means that this is not only one customer. It's about 1,000 customers, 10,000 customers, 100,000 customers. It's about that the market is asking you more. The problem here is not about technology and product. It's about production. The problem of talent is not about creativity. It's about to be sure that you know how to sell and how to manage and deliver what you were promising to your customer. And in terms of finance, that's the moment where you can invite the first investors, the first series of Series A of venture capital. Why? Because they know how to bridge in appropriate way with the rest of the series. That's the change. Because the investors, they know that perhaps yesterday I was talking with an entrepreneur at La Salle that he told me, okay, I need 1 million euros for the 20% of my company, because now I am just in the phase that I want to close in the process to validate, in this case, at the end of the phase, to validate the scalability in all the world. 1 million, 20% of the company. But it's more than 1 million and 20%. It's that if this company and this entrepreneur wants to sell the company to another venture capital firm, it's better to have the dialogue with the metrics of the investors. Because if not, we don't know how can we create more metrics. Metrics means that when you're in the phase 3, the validation of the scalability, in order to say, okay, this company is growing, is that it's not just to have 10 customers in Trieste. It's perhaps that you have one customer because you are validating the scalability. And this is perhaps one of the key roles that we're working on ISP. How can we allow and offer the science part as a platform for the validation of the scalability? Because it's very easy. If Beethoven wants to send an entrepreneur to China, he knows that in TUSPAR there is a platform, or to Triangle Research Park, or to Rio de Janeiro. And that's the stress of our focus. Because innovation, and let me include a new keyword in all this element, is speed. Ecosystems of innovation are running a fast track of speed, because this kind of entrepreneurs will have 1 year or 2 years of windows of opportunity. And what we have to deliver is an ecosystem that is allowing the companies to run in a proper way, because it's not just to run, because the entrepreneurs are running and changing and this not running in a proper direction. In this way, it means that we will need different people, different technology, and different moment in a different way. Because at the end of the day, the fourth phase is about exit plans. Exit plans means merge and acquisition. IPOs or merge and acquisition. We have some companies that are going out to the stock market, to the public market, but we bridge from Barcelona following the Paris pattern. We bridge to London because we know that they cannot grow in Barcelona. They have to grow to London, but we have to reach in a proper way because the AM, the alternative market, is running very, very well there. But also, we have also big opportunity with the corporate venturing. Remember the idea that the new deal flow of innovation of the big corporations are the startups. They are ready. We see how more and more the big corporations, they have 50 million or 100 million of euros ready to invest with tickets of 500,000, 1 million euros, 3 million euros, 2 million. That's a big opportunity. But it means that an entrepreneur is not the door of any big corporation, never will find the door open. That's our role also. The reputation of the institution can really make a call and say, okay, I am this person from this part, I am in this region, and I want to open the door. This is our responsibility. But if we don't play that, who will play? Who will play for the entrepreneurs? That's the reason for the exit plans, because exit plans means a lot. Means that at the end of the day, we send inviting me here today to talk to you and have the opportunity to share our experiences in incubation and acceleration, not just in Oxford, in the UK, but from our activities and the support that we offer in other parts of the world. So this is what I'm going to try and get through in 15 minutes. Who we are, because we are called ISIS Enterprise, and I need to get it quite clear at the beginning that we have nothing to do with international terrorism. I'd like to define another international problem in a more positive light. Talk about our experience in incubation, design